to Horchata. It is me, D Notes.
And Jess.
We are back this week with the Black Phone.
Hell yeah, we are.
So it just came out fairly recently. So I've had the honor to watch it at least 3 times now. So
Yay.
we will have, you know, enough content, I believe, to talk about how we feel about the movie and sort of the story behind it. So
I want to give a little bit of background information before we get started on talking about the plot and all that.
mhm.
So it was directed by Scott Derrickson based on a short story by Joe Hill. This is interesting. In my research, I found out that Joe Hill, the writer of this short story, is actually Stephen King's son, but he
Whoa.
goes by the pen name Joe Hill, which I was like, that's what's up. He's trying to distance himself from his dad, but at the same time, he's got like the connections. I respect that.
Hmm.
And the screenplay also by Robert Cargill, I think that's how you pronounce it. I follow him on Twitter. He's awesome. And he also directed, Derrickson directed Sinister, which also starred Ethan Hawke, which I loved. It was a really. Have you watched that one, Sinister?
No, I haven't been able to watch it. I might have watched the first one, but it's been a while. So
Yeah, I heard the second one sucks. So I didn't bother, but the first one was really good. Also, Ethan Hawke was on it. Yeah, and it was also this film was released by Blumhouse Productions, which they're famous for a lot of horror movies. Some
mhm.
hits, some misses, but the notable ones that stood out to me is like Halloween Kills, The Hunt, The Invisible Man, which I saw. That one was really good. And yeah, it stars Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, and of course Ethan Hawke. So a little bit of background info there.
Yeah, so the basic plot line is kids are being abducted and murdered, and the town is trying to figure out who it is, why, um, and so it basically just stars a brother and a sister, um, with and they live with their abusive father,
Hmm.
and the little girl she dreams of each scene of the murders, and so she gets like little details about it,
Hmm.
and that's kind of like the base plot of the film. She's kind of like she keeps seeing these images in her dreams, and uh, the only people that know about the murders, like in depth, are like the police, the detectives. So it's kind of gives you a slow ride, but it's a good one.
Hmm. I also wanted to mention that it was set in the 70s, specifically 1978,
Hmm.
and it was in North Denver. So I just thought that was interesting,
Yeah.
the time period, because it makes sense that you would have a phone situation set in the 70s or literally any time before the internet or cell
Hmm.
phones. And I actually like in the intro too, there's like this montage of like newspaper clippings of kids missing and footage of children playing. And it looks like it was filmed on like this gritty, grainy, like very 70s film. I really like that, like the grittiness of like the 70s like displayed on film.
Yeah, I love when they're like when directors like film things to make them look older, So
To
like
give
when
it
they
that like vintage
yeah,
feel.
exactly. So when they use like the Super 8 or whatever,
Yes, yes.
those are pretty dope. I love that whole montage of news reports and stuff. That was pretty cool.
I really enjoyed like a lot of the kid characters, but I think specifically the people that stood out to me the most, besides Finny, obviously, but the little girl, what was her name? Do you remember? I
I
forget.
forgot it, but
I think I wrote it somewhere and I'll come back to it. But the little boy named Robin, the Hispanic kid that
yeah,
like the bullies, he was awesome.
yeah. I was like, he would start whipping ass. I was like, okay,
Yes.
he's my friend.
Basically, like from the beginning, he starts like kicking somebody's ass.
Well, yeah, because I mean, little kids being a shit, and give him a couple of nice punches on the mouth and busting him open. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I also like so there's these murders going around and so the little girl, the sister, she gets called into the office too, like by the principal and like cops. And she's like being questioned like, "Hey, how do you know these things that we haven't even released to the public yet?" And she's like, First she was like hesitant to even answer because like she's gonna sound crazy the second that she says it was basically a dream.
Yeah.
So she finally says like, yeah, like it was basically a dream, and they're like, well, you're full of shit, and like, but the way that she handled the cops, like it was so funny and like refreshing
I
because she
was
was
laughing
so
so
like
hard. Yeah.
me too. Everybody, because that's why it's so fun watching this one in the movie theater. Because in that scene, everybody was just surprised. Like this little girl had such a foul mouth and was like, "Yeah, fuck you, pigs," and like you, like I don't know what she came up with like the funniest like comebacks. It was refresh. I don't know. It was just very enjoyable.
I
And
was like, if I ever have a daughter, that's exactly how I want her to be.
me too. Little, yeah. Oh, her name is Gwen.
Gwen.
I didn't
Okay.
remember. Her name was Gwen. Um, but like because of this, there's consequences to that. Because like, when they go back home, the dad. I have to put a trigger warning here for child abuse because there's a scene there where basically like the dad like he like straight up beats the shit out of the little girl because the cops apparently came around sniffing around his house asking like why does your daughter know this stuff? So he blamed it on the girl right away. Like why
Yeah.
would the cops come to our house or whatever?
And
And
who her
yeah.
work actually. It was more because they showed a better work and he got
Oh,
pissed.
his work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Either way, that really hurt seeing it on screen because at first you see like this really funny moment of this girl just being like super like quick-witted, and then you have this like the cop, I mean, sorry, the dad just like viciously beating up, and in
Beating up the
front of
girl.
Finney
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Well,
front
he
of
woke
Finney.
up because she was getting hit and screaming,
Mm-hmm.
and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh shit!" Like
I ain't
it
gonna lie, that scene was really hard for me to watch. I
it
actually got
was.
teary-eyed. I was like, I hate watching
It
like any
didn't matter how many times I watched that movie. It was like still the same. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't watch this!" Like it was
It's
cringy.
so hard to watch a kid get beat up, even
Yeah.
if you know that it's fake. Like it's just, oh God,
That
that was
yeah.
that was
That was the worst part of the movie. Like just
honestly, yeah,
yeah.
that was the scariest part, really, because
That's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh. But yeah. Big flowers to the little girl playing that role. She killed it in that movie.
she was awesome,
Yeah, she's
definitely a
easily my
standout.
favorite part of the movie.
Me too, and she kind of continues that attitude like throughout the movie. Like she's always just a little badass. Like
Yeah,
even in that scene where the brother, well, eventually Robin, like just like many of the other kids, ends up getting kidnapped. So now, well, the reason why Finney was kind of safe from the bullies was because Robin was like there to defend him. But now Robin, it turns out that he's kidnapped too. And we need to
mm,
get into like talking about how these kids even get kidnapped. But to go back to what I was talking about, he's getting he's getting his basically his he's getting beat up now.
he's getting
And
drugged.
the
Yeah.
sister, yeah, and his sister comes around, yeah, and his sister comes around and basically like starts beating up the kids too. Like she's a little girl, she does not care.
Well, she
She
gets a big
gets
ass rock from the ground. She smacks the guy on
yes,
the head with it, and so he starts gushing out blood. And I was like, "Ooh,
I know.
toughies." And
Yeah, she's like a little badass. I mean, the
yeah, he
kids.
gets like totally concussed. He like has to sit down and
Mm-hmm.
like he's like out of the fight.
Mm-hmm. I think that's like the only reason, basically, why the fight ends. But the guys were vicious towards her too. They beat her up too. I mean, equal rights, right?
Yeah, they hip tossed her, and then the dude, the redheaded kid, the ginger with no soul. Let's just say.
Yeah, we know
I'm just
those.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah. He straight up like punt kicked her in the head. So
Hmm.
so she was out of commission as well. But she was sitting next to the guy that was gushing out blood, and he was like totally out of it, like not even there. Um, and then so she had to witness her brother just get his ass whipped, basically. But
Hmm.
that was a big like another traumatic scene, but it wasn't as bad as the
The
little girl getting
dad.
yeah the dad was
Yeah,
total dick.
yeah. I know. And it seems like the theme of this movie is to like kind of like bullies, like we have the bullies that are bullies, the dad's kind of a bully, and now we have a grabber that's also bullying like kids, like and also kidnapping
Torturing
them,
him. Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, and torturing them. And I thought like obviously the kids are getting kidnapped. They call him the grabber. And I
Mm.
thought the way that the guy looked, he was dressed in all black and wearing like this really creepy mask. It looked cool though.
Which detaches from itself. So like they have like different
Yes.
parts, which I loved.
I thought that was so creative, first of
Yeah.
all. Like, because he could take the top part off and then leave the bottom and still kind of like cover his identity. But I thought it was like just so unique. I don't
So
think I've seen that
yeah,
really.
throughout the film, like the mask detaches itself, so you see more of his face, like as the movie progresses.
Yeah,
So I
you're
thought that
right.
was interesting too. I was like,
'Cause-
okay, so at first it looks like a cone, like coming down from the jawline. The
Mm-hmm.
whole face is covered. Later on, that goes away, but it's still like a smiley face.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the mouth
I
piece
think it's the eye
disappears.
parts. I think it's the eye parts that come
Oh,
off
the eye part.
next.
Yeah, okay.
And then he just has that smiley face on the mouth
Yeah,
area. So
yeah.
I
That
mean,
was
even
interesting.
that was creepy to me. Like even seeing him, like just you could see his eyes, but you can't see the rest of him. It looked really creepy.
Yeah.
Um, we, we should also talk about how like when they were kidnapped, the way that he would. Well, first of all, I thought it was interesting. Like let's go back to like the very beginning where the first kid that we see like get kidnapped is Yamada or something like Bruce Yamada, I believe.
Bruce. Yeah.
Little Brucey Bruce. He's like this popular kid, very well liked in the neighborhood, and we get a flashback that um, I think the grabber, his technique is that he's holding groceries and they fall. Like he pretends to like, like need help picking up the groceries, and he like asks a kid. It doesn't matter if it's Yamada, it could have been Robin. I honestly forgot, or actually, it could have even been Finney.
Well, I
And
don't know if he does it on all the kids though, because like I know he does it for Finney,
mhm.
but um, but he doesn't do that for what do you call it? Robin later.
What
Because
does he do for Robin?
he just
Does he?
walks out of the van like as Robin's like walking towards the van because he's like walking behind the
Oh.
convenience store or like
Mm-hmm.
the supermarket or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is.
He just yanks him?
They don't show exactly what it does, but he's not holding anything. He's just walking out of the van with a cape on, like
Oh,
almost
okay.
like he's gonna do like a magic trick or something.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I was just gonna mention the I feel like that's a technique though that a lot of like kidnappers can use, like very true, like very real. Like Ted Bundy, for example, he would always ask his victims like, "Oh, can you help me carry these books? Oh, my leg is broken. Can you help me carry this and get into my car and help me like get adjusted?" This is the thing, a lot of men will never even ask for help, especially someone that is more vulnerable than them, like
yeah,
women, or especially a little kid. What kind of little kid can really help? Like it
right.
seems so innocuous, right? Like if somebody dropped groceries, of course you want to help. You want just want to do the good thing, the right thing. So how would you even like guess that by helping somebody like pick up groceries or something that they that fell that they would end up like kidnapping you? Like that's the part that was like it was so real, true to life. Like
Mm.
a lot of the places where people get kidnapped, especially women, are parking lots. So just like this kind of stuff is very real. And I think that's
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
the reason why I really like this movie. Like some of it was like supernatural, but I think for the most part, like you said, that the story was very solid. It was just a really good, like well thought out, written like story. I was just
yeah.
really
A side
impressed.
note. So I saw this video about well, they weren't clear on exactly what it was, but I'm assuming it was like either it had to do with like sex trafficking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was an adult female, like watching a teenage girl, like in a line to like wait for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like signaling a car to like I'm about to grab her, I'm gonna like push her in the car and go. But then like luckily like the person in the stand like kind of caught on and she
Mm-hmm.
like scared them off like at the last second. But she was like the adult female was about to grab this like teenage chick. You see
I
it on
think I saw that
yeah,
video.
and I was like, word, like what? Like that's insane. How like
The
I just don't ever think that stuff like that's gonna happen these days. You know?
And the thing is, it could happen so fast.
Yeah, I mean, because the car was like only within like I don't know 25 feet or something like that from like where they were standing.
And if it's like a two-person operation against a little girl, I
Yeah,
mean, easier for them.
because she was like maybe like I don't know 60 pounds, like not anywhere between like 60 and 80 pounds, like not very big,
Mhm.
tiny girl, right?
A little girl, yeah.
Little girl,
And the
and
shopkeeper, I think, is the one who noticed that
she did,
something was,
yeah, she noticed and she
yeah.
like kind of like she scared him off somehow, but
Thank
I
God.
was like, what the fudge,
I actually did see that video. That tripped
Yeah,
me out.
good old TikTok.
Yeah, seriously. I see some first stuff on there.
Yeah, yeah, all the time. But so anyway, so the grabber, he's basically collecting these souls, is you can say.
I think he's going a little crazy too because I think Finney even says like, oh, or not Finney, but somebody on the phone that calls him, one of the kids that souls obviously was stolen or whatever, was like, oh, the phone rings, but he can hear, but he just pretends he can't hear it. So it's like he is kind of going a little mad. Not Finney, but what's his face? The
Grabber.
grabber.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Like, so he does hear the phone. He
Well,
just,
because he admits it too. Remember, he's like, I think it's the static electricity or something like that, which
oh,
implies like there's like a ghost. Because like usually like, with like electricity in the air or like
mhm.
electromagnetics, like that's how you can tell. Usually, if there's like a ghost around. So like
Maybe.
I'm thinking that maybe like there was a spirit trying to like maybe like talk shit to him or something. Like so
Hmm.
they he's like, I swear I heard the phone ring. But I think it was just like the electricity in the air or whatever. Like, which obviously implies that it was probably a spirit that was, uh, probably gonna talk shit to him or something. But
I wonder if it could also just represent like guilt, maybe. Like maybe he just like
nah, I doubt
obviously.
it. Because I mean, he's just a total dirtbag that is like set in his ways to play certain games so he can do what he likes to do, which is murdering these children.
So like just like a full-on psychopath.
Yeah,
So no
and
empathy.
yeah. So and you see that later on in the film when he like murders someone that's you know supposed to be important to him.
Oh, that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one also made me really sad.
I was like, oh man.
I
But
liked that character so much.
yeah, I had a lot of questions about these films though, because I was like, because I'm an overthinker anyway, so I'm always like looking for like other ways to look at films.
Hmm.
So I was like, what does all this mean? Like the little boy is stuck inside the basically a prison or the basement that's completely locked down. There's a window, but it's soundproof. There's really no way to get out. At least he has a bathroom. But
Yeah, that's a
uh,
luxury.
can't even get the mattress off the ground because it's like bolted to the ground.
Hmm.
So like, is it really spirits talking to him, or is that just like his self conscience um, thinking that he can hear voices on the phone because he's trying to get himself out of there?
Hmm.
Because
That's
he knows all these kids. He doesn't know them personally, but he knows of, it's all they're all in the papers.
hmm.
And I'm sure like in '78, there's not a whole lot to do besides
Yeah.
like be outside for like a while and then he's got a shit dad, so like he's either we see him watching TV at night and stuff, but it's like how much could he actually really watch before bedtime or whatever? But everyone's like obsessed with all the kids being abducted, so I'm sure he knows like all the basic stuff about all of these kids now,
Hmm.
and he's also seen some of them around the school or whatnot. So I was like, is it really spirits or is it just? But then I was like, well, like they're telling him to do certain things, and I'm like, okay, probably. So I'm just assuming they are spirits, but there were sometimes I kind of question that. I'm like, is he just smart enough to like kind of figure this stuff out? But I'm like, probably not.
Yeah, he's a kid. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like I could give some credence to what you're saying about it could just be like all in his head, kind of,
Hmm.
in the sense that there's a scene where it almost looked like the phone was breathing, and then he wakes up, and then that's when he realizes that he's hungry. So it could also be like he's getting delirious as the time goes on because it doesn't seem like the guy's feeding him like full meals. Like randomly, he just feeds him whenever he can,
Yeah, it looks
and
like
that makes
powdered eggs or something. I don't know.
yeah. And it makes sense that he's not feeding him all the time because he's got a roommate and he doesn't want his roommate to find out that he's got little boys locked up in the basement. So,
Yeah,
he can't always be coming downstairs and giving him food or whatever, which
and he
is
totally drugged him like at first, so like he was like totally out of it. The first day he
mhm.
was there. So I wonder if like the sodas also made him hallucinate too, because maybe he was putting stuff in that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
I
that's
could see
why
that.
he was hearing the phone rings.
Hmm. But I
Um,
do like the spirit angle though. I really
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. I do too. It's a
Yeah.
nice touch too. Like I'm just thinking outside the box. I'm assuming they are actually spirits talking to him, trying to get him out of there.
Hmm.
Angry spirits that are trying to let him live because they all died, horrific deaths. So
Hmm. And well, Finney for some reason is like the special one that figured it out. Well, maybe it's because enough boys were killed that enough clues were collected because these kids, when they would call through the phone, they would basically give them a clue like every other day,
yeah,
like do this, do that, and then like eventually that's what aided him in his escape. But even like that first time where he tried to escape, he was so close because the weird thing was is that the grabber would intentionally leave the door unlocked on purpose because he saw it like as a game.
Yeah.
But he there was like a set of stairs and he would just be sitting there, and that was creepy too, just like a dude for some reason shirtless. I don't know why. He was just sitting on a chair shirtless with the mask still on, but then also ready with the belt. Kind of like a dad, like waiting to like beat up his kid
Oh
for
yeah.
doing something wrong, like an abusive dad, obviously. And the kid told him like, oh, he likes to play these games, and you're kind of like making it worse because you're not giving into any of the games. Eventually, he's just gonna want to kill you like straight up because you're not even like, like playing like along. So yeah,
He totally got off on that.
yeah, he exactly. He's sadistic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Let's see. I was gonna say something. Oh, so like the biggest thing that like my biggest complaint about the movie, not really complaint, but like when he pulls the rope through the through the
The window
carpet thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, or it's supposed to be a wire, but it looked like rope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was like, that thing is not solid enough to like, push all the way through because it looked hella flimsy, like in a
It
way.
did. It did.
I was like, I don't know, man. That seemed way too illogical to me. like,
Yeah, no, I
I
get
was
what you're
like, I don't
saying.
know what's up with that, but
I know. It's like they wanted to give you a little hope and then take it right away because it didn't even work either way.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because the thing crashed, the bars crashed down and smacked him on the head.
I don't know. That was kind of funny, right? I mean, he ended up using those bars too, though, right?
Did he? I don't. No, I don't think so.
Oh, because I thought like when the grabber went, like, he fell into the hole, his leg broke on the
Oh, yeah,
bars, or
that's
maybe
right. Yeah, that was right. Okay, yeah, he did use them.
yeah.
He
I was
totally
wondering.
like it like broke his ankle basically.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was clever that he would. I don't know if he intended. I mean, how would you know that somebody's ankle would break like that? But that
He
was
probably
smart.
did because it was like deep enough for him to like fall down, and he was about almost shoulder height when he fell down the hole. That
Mm-hmm.
was a pretty big
Yeah,
hole.
I
Like,
know. I mean, he was basically in prison. You got nothing but time.
yeah, yeah. So he's there, well, probably at least a week,
Mm-hmm.
like tops. Yeah. So
I just kind of think about like kids who get like kidnapped and they're like held prisoners.
yeah.
Like I mean, I can never imagine, but like you would have to get creative. Like I'm sure they try, but there's some obviously that we never end up finding what happened to them, or you find their bodies later on.
Oh yeah. If that was me, I'm totally dead.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like
I'm
I
not
probably
smart.
wouldn't last more than like 3 days. Like there's
I
no way.
I I think yeah, maybe like 3 days, and that's even like wondering if they're gonna give you water and stuff, because
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because he was smart about everything. Even while he was digging the hole, he would like flush the dirt, and then that would get rid of the evidence that he was even digging up a hole.
Hmm.
I mean, that was smart. Like, I don't
That
even
was
know. And
smart. Yeah.
then yeah, and then like he used like the rod from the toilet. I forgot to do what. Um.
He was breaking the wall. He was breaking apart the cement to because there was a freezer unit behind
Mhm,
the wall.
mhm.
So he was trying to climb through the freezer unit, but he was locked.
Yeah, he was
That's
trying to
and then the meat thawed out, and he used it later on. So, which is smart too.
That is pretty smart.
Yeah.
And then thankfully he had his pen with him, that little pen that looked
The
like
rocket.
yeah. That was cool because he used that to stab the grabber in the beginning. And it ended up helping him too, right? Like just in general, like
Yeah. Well, first he cut the grabber's arm,
mhm.
and then he used it to cut the cord on the phone.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're
And
right.
then I think that was it. I think those are like the two biggest moments where he used it while he was captive.
Like it's crazy to think that in a case of survival, you can you have to use whatever you have. Literally, you can get so creative. I mean, that's what they do in prison, literally, right? They use like I don't know, they make shanks or whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they be cooking like whole meals too with like aluminum foil and whatnot. So
You
like,
get creative. Yeah.
yeah, you have to. I mean, it's crazy that our minds could even go there, like to come up with something so creative to either escape or make food or what have you.
Yeah, like I said, about maybe 3 days for me. Then
Yeah,
I'm dead. I'll be
it's
desperate. Like I can't even
ingenious.
last a day without eating today.
Either. You're too good.
Yeah, I'm like you're too spoiled.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was just complaining to my coworker. that I don't like drinking water in my house anymore because I live in an apartment now, and before we used to live in this nice like two-story house. I live with roommates, so obviously it sucked. But the one thing that I miss is that we had this fridge. You know those fridges that you can put your cup under there and it has like a water and like ice.
Yeah.
I don't have that at this apartment. Now we have to fill up the Brita, and I fucking hate
Oh,
filling
I
that whole
know.
up. And then I was just telling her, I was like, wow, these are really like first world problems. And
Yeah.
we just started cracking up the whole time, like, wow, man, the privilege.
You get a little taste of it, then like it goes away, and you're like, damn it, man, that was so nice.
Yeah, why did they give me something good just to take it away?
I would
It's tough
totally
out
not do
here.
good. I would totally not do good into the post-apocalyptic
I
scenario.
don't think so either. Just take me away now. I don't
Like
want to
I just got
suffer.
off of work and I'm like sweaty and I'm like I need to take a shower already.
Like you're so uncomfortable. Like
Yeah, I'm like I don't want to smell myself. It's gross.
I don't want to be perceived.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the Grabber as a character, or at least how Ethan Hawke played it? How do you
I
feel
think
about
he
that?
did a really good job. Like I think he even changed up his voice, right? Because he sounded
Yeah,
totally different.
I I it felt like he
Ooh,
got inspired by like Heath Ledger's Joker a little bit.
I could see that.
Yeah, because he changed his voice and high pitched voice a couple times and like that, and his laugh a little bit too.
Hmm.
Um,
I could hear that
but
actually.
yeah, so but I still liked it. I mean, he did a good job. It's not a role that he typically plays at all. I don't think
Well, I think
that I
he was
know.
in Sinister too, so but I don't think he was like a scary dude. I think he
No,
was
I
actually
think
one
he
of the
was like
creepiest.
he was like wasn't he like the dad or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, actually, he was like the dad. He was. So this is kind of different for him. You're right.
Yeah, it's totally different from him. So, but I mean, like I said, the character itself was great. Just the plot line in general.
Hmm. There's
Uh,
some little details that I really enjoyed, like about the movie in general, but like there was this flashback of one of the kids that was stolen or kidnapped, and it was like this like 80s like hair metal guy. Oh well, 70s, right? I should say
70s, yeah,
70s.
late 70s.
70s like
The
hair
pretty boy with the what do you call it, the
with
long hair.
yeah, with the like the mullet kind of hair. And it kind of reminded me of Billy from Stranger
Yeah,
Things.
exactly. I was
I
like,
was like,
where?
oh,
Yeah,
that's cool. I really enjoyed that. And he was like a badass kid too.
he
And
was
then
playing pinball, and like the little kid, the teenager hit the machine and made him lose his high
hmm.
score. So he was gonna beat his high score, and then the kid messed it up, so he started whooping their ass.
Yeah,
And
back
like
in the
that.
day, I mean, even now, people, I mean, come on, the internet makes people go crazy online. So
Yeah, I
now
would
it's
have
like
been pissed
use your
too.
fists,
I
huh?
would have been pissed too because it's like all
Yeah,
you have.
exactly. And also there was this scene too where the little girl like figures out what's going on. Are we gonna give spoilers or no? Are we trying to avoid them?
It's up to you.
Okay. Well, this I guess this would be a spoiler then, just to let anybody know. I feel like people that listen to this already know what goes on. I don't know. Maybe you just need like a little bit of extra.
We'll just give him a little taste.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's not even that big. She was riding in the rain, and she was wearing like this yellow raincoat as one does, and it reminded me so much of it because it was like
Yeah,
raining and pouring, and you just see this little kid with her little hoodie on riding her bike, and it reminded me so much of
of that
it.
little boy, right? Like it gets
Yeah,
eaten off.
yeah.
Do you think that was like a shout out to Stephen King's son?
I think so because another thing that I noticed is kind of like an what you would call like a Easter egg
Uh-huh.
is the fact that well let's just say this is a big spoiler now for sure. Max is the brother of the grabber, right? This guy Max plays the adult version of one of the characters in It. He
Oh, that's
plays like
right.
the
Yeah.
character that is like afraid of germs and everything and he's very coddled by his mom. He plays the adult version of that kid. And he's in this movie and I was like, "Huh. I wonder if that means anything." It probably doesn't, but maybe just
Probably
because
not, but they probably like did that just because.
they know each other. There's connections.
Yeah, just probably connections, but also like a fun, like you said, Easter egg kind of thing.
I think it's an Easter egg for people
Yeah.
that know. Like, if you know, you know, right?
Right.
I thought that was cool because I loved his character too, Max. I mean, when the cops first show up to his house, he's like, oh, like, well, it makes sense why he's talking a lot. Because at first I was like, damn, this guy really got a lot in his mind. Um, he's like trying to solve the whole mystery. Meanwhile, the reality is that it's literally his brother downstairs, um, killing all these kids. And
He's
and
all
then
coked out and he's trying to
yeah,
figure
he's
it
coked out.
out.
And I
That's
mean,
great.
It must be nice, right? Because he got away with it. The cops left, and they're like, "Oh, you might want to clean up a
Well,
bit."
clearly
He
he's got
looks.
three lines right there.
I know. And I'm like, "Oh,
He's all,
fool
damn,
somebody
stupid,
else."
stupid. Then he starts sniffing it.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah.
He's got to get rid of the evidence.
So there's a bunch of things also that I liked about the film. For one, we see the black balloons,
I love that.
and
The
how
black.
he uses
Wait,
those.
balloons. Isn't that kind of like Pennywise a little bit?
Well, the balloons are red for Pennywise,
Yeah,
but
but the fact that it's balloons, I don't know. That's interesting.
yeah. So black balloons. So I'm a hip hop head, right? And
Hmm.
there's a rapper named NF, and he uses black balloons in all of his in most of his materials in his videos
That's
because
cool.
those are black to him. Black balloons symbolize your burdens.
Oh shit.
So I wonder if like that's the same meaning of like you know the grabber using these black balloons as like he's always carrying his burdens, so he then he takes the kids and murders them.
Hmm. I
I
wonder.
wonder if
It's
that's like a connection. I mean, not like a connection as far as like how that goes, but like I wonder if the black balloons are a
like
symbol
in
of
general,
yeah,
like
a
in general.
symbol of
Yeah.
burden. Your burden or your um something. I don't know to that extent, but
Yeah, I've never heard that, but that sounds. I think that the rapper doing that, that's pretty cool.
it's like on a bunch of his videos.
I never heard of him, but I also don't really listen to like rap or hip hop,
Yeah,
unfortunately. But
he's a clean rapper, but he has a lot of like depth to his music, so it's pretty cool.
that's real shit.
I might even like maybe I'll put a link on the video for one of his videos. Um,
Yeah.
we'll see, but I thought that was interesting because I was like, does that mean the same thing as far as like how they're used? You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it too, like usually when if you, I mean, I don't know, it's just balloons, but at the end of the day, like when you think about balloons, it's like celebration, and they're usually colorful. So black is obviously somber. So I think, yeah, it would make sense that it's like kind of like it could be burdens, or it just could be something dark in general. Like definitely nothing happy, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
the absence of light. So you know,
literally, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Like I'm taking you to your dark place. Here you go.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
swallowed up
yeah.
by these balloons. So
Exactly. And it was creative too, like when he like snatches them, and I mean he uses a balloon, but and those balloons kind of disguise like that he's even taking a kid into the
yeah,
van.
and then he sprays him in the mouth with that whatever that thing is.
Hmm. This guy's like a professional.
Oh yeah, he's got it down.
And the
And there's like
house,
a few other things too. That sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say that the house that the grabber had, it reminded me so much of John Wayne Gacy's house. I don't know if you've ever seen
Yeah, the
pictures of it.
basement. Yeah.
It
Well,
really
like
like
because
this
he would bury
building.
the kids underneath the house, right?
Yeah, underneath his house, he would bury a bunch of kids. There was like so many bodies under there. And
Yeah.
it reminded me when I was watching this movie, I was like, this is like, I mean, this happened. It John Wayne Gacy did this.
Hmm.
Not to the same effect, not obviously not the same story, but this this actually it happened, you
Yeah.
know? What were you gonna
That's
say?
crazy. I was saying there was a couple other things that like I was sort of intrigued by, or like I questioned the film as far as like how certain things had connections.
Hmm.
So, for instance, so like at the beginning of the film, you see the dad. He goes into the freezer, and there's like a package of meat in there.
Hmm.
So I wondered like if the grabber and the dad maybe worked at the same butcher, like the butcher shop or something, because like you see that, and then you see the grabber has like the freezer full of like packaged meat also,
Hmm.
and like um, I mean they don't say where neither one of them work, but and I didn't see what the van said on the side because like
Hmm.
every time I try to see what it said, it was like too fast driving by or something.
Hmm.
But I was kind of like wondering if like maybe like they kind of knew each other, but not like friends, you know. So I kind of
That's
questioned
another
that for.
thing too. Like, a lot of like times when there's like abuse happens, like I don't know for kidnapping specifically, but they always say isn't it like someone you know, someone that you see in the community. Like
Usually
it's
it's
never
family
really,
too. I think.
yeah, like it's never technically. I mean, sometimes it is, but oftentimes it's somebody that even is around your area. I mean, there's this like crazy story. I saw a documentary on Netflix. I think it was called something My Neighbor. But basically his neighbor stole like a little girl or something and like ended up like abusing her and like he took her on a road trip just to like abuse her and like they were on the run for a long time. But this neighbor was trusted by the family, but he ended up kidnapping the girl anyways. So like this, like sometimes you just don't know like who your neighbors are. Like
Yeah,
that's the thing that trips me out, like creeps me out. You just don't know. I don't.
exactly.
It kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I don't know.
Um,
I saw that and I was like, I wonder if like because it seemed like when they showed it, it was like very like in your face about it.
the
That's why.
van.
Well, like no, like the whole meat and stuff. Like I don't know. It just seemed really like the shot seemed like it had importance to it. Like when
Could,
he
could,
opened the freezer.
could you imagine if it was one of the kids' bodies?
Right. Yeah.
Like he was just like some kind of weird cannibal
Well, no,
that
the
like,
dad though, the dad at the beginning of the film when he's like when he opens the freezer, there's like packaged meat in there too, and I was like, and then later on in the film, you see the grabber had a separate freezer unit of maybe
oh,
that's why I was connecting the two.
damn, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so I was like, I wonder if they like worked at the same butcher shop or something,
I
or
could see that, especially in a
factory or
small
something.
town.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's like North um, Colorado or North Denver, and it's like I'm sure
Mhm.
the population at the time was very small.
Yeah,
You know.
definitely. Yeah, no, I agree. Um, I just want to talk about like the one jump scare that really like actually shook me even watching it right like an hour ago. I was just chilling with my dog and it was that scene where he first picks up the phone and then like it's a kid talking to him and then like the camera pans and it's like a kid but it like really scares you. You see a dead kid right next to Finney, but Finney can't see him, but the audience we can see him. And
Mm.
like it scared me and it scared my dog too, because you know always in the jump scare there's like a loud noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit scared my dog and I. I was like, wow, the second time around it still creeped me out. Good job. And they don't do a lot of jump scares, I don't think. But that one was really
No,
good.
there was only like two that like kind of stuck out to me. It was like that one, and then when the the rocker kid like gets pulled up back into like the
Oh, that one creeped me
ether or
out even
whatever. Yeah,
more because he was like thrown into the abyss,
yeah, yeah. And
into
he
like a
like he's
black
screaming at
hole.
the same time when he's like getting pulled
Yeah,
back. Yeah,
that was so
I saw that
creepy.
in theater and I was like, oh, that was loud. Like and the echo too. I was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whoa, yeah,
And that was really creepy. I honestly don't know what else to say other than I really enjoyed this movie. I feel like it wasn't too deep for me either. Like I didn't like I feel like you said you did a little bit of overthinking. For this one, for me, I think this time around, I really didn't. Like, I just think that it's like you don't have to work too hard to find meanings in the movies. I feel like
mm-hmm.
it's pretty like self-explanatory. Like it's a good story where people can empathize. It's something that could happen in real life because it oftentimes does. Um, but I wouldn't say it's like a Hereditary or Midsummer where you're constantly looking at little. At least for me, I wasn't
Yeah,
looking for too many like clues. You know, it was pretty linear for me, but it was still a very effective movie and like scared me. I wouldn't say it's like the scariest movie I've ever watched, but I still
no,
think that it was like kind of a thriller, really. Like it does kind of keep you on your toes of like wanting to find out like is he gonna get caught or is Finney gonna be able to escape this time? Because there's a scene too where he tries to escape and he's so close. He basically runs outside and then he gets caught by the grabber again. That
yeah,
part,
that was dope.
yeah, it was, especially because you saw like a neighbor's light flicker on, and
Mm-hmm.
then he's like, "If you say anything, I'm gonna like rip your guts out and strangle you with I don't know something to that effect." So the kid never
I'm
screamed,
gonna
and
cut you
yeah,
like a pig and use your intestines to
yeah,
choke you.
super violent
Yeah,
shit, and I feel like the things he was saying he probably did to the kids that already died, you know. So yeah, and then he takes Finney back, and he has to stay there for a longer time, but yeah, I mean. I don't really. Do you have really any other like thoughts on it?
no, besides a clever closeout, but I give this I probably give this movie like a good solid like B or B plus.
I would say for me a B plus.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. There's not a whole lot of like things that I was like complaining about. Just a good story overall, not scary, but a good story. It's a good thriller, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just like Finney's nickname, Finn. That's the end of that one,
But a bing.
right?
We gotta add that in the final cut version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we will
One
do
thing
it.
we do know though is that as soon as the new Wednesday movie comes out, we want to review it because it's dropping on Netflix, and I'm really excited to talk about it and to
That's a
watch
show,
it.
though, right?
I think it's, is it a show? I thought it was a
I think it's a
movie.
show.
Oh shit.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I still want to see it for sure.
Are you
you should.
sure?
Well, I was talking to a coworker today, and he said it was a show because he
Oh,
looked it
you're
up.
right. It says it's a series. We should still talk about it.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, we'll definitely give you guys that. Raw's coming out soon too. I think Monday or next
Yes,
week.
hopefully.
I have it scheduled on YouTube, so you guys just keep on a lookout on that. So
Mhm.
it'll be out next week, or from when you guys hear this, it'll already be out.
Yes.
But check out Raw. We did that one. Another good film, and
Mhm.
we will see you guys soon.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye.